Welcome to the Matt Sager Podcast. It's Thursday, January 3rd. Brand new year. Still getting used to it being 2019. And tonight will be a short episode of the Matt Sager Podcast. It occurs to me, I've listened back to the last few episodes I've done, which were like top 5 and 10 lists of my favorite things of 2018, the things I'm most looking forward to in 2019. And for each of those, I prefaced the show with, gonna be a quick one tonight. And then proceeded to just ramble and list all these things and comment on them, and none of the shows I said would be brief actually ended up being brief. Tonight, I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. It's going to be a short episode of the Matt Sager Podcast. And it's also one which I really need to emphasize. A big disclaimer right up front. This is second-hand rumor or innuendo, but it might turn out to be true. It certainly looks as though it's real news, and as though I may be one of the earliest to break this news. I'm certainly not the one who discovered this scoop, but it was shared with me last night, and it occurred to me that it would be something that you guys would want to hear, all my listeners. Because, of course, with Avengers Endgame coming out, there have been all kinds of rumors and hopes and speculation about, Disney's acquired Fox. This opens Endgame up to feature Wolverine, Logan, which of course is still Wolverine, but older and grumpier, and even perhaps Deadpool. A Disney-Fox merger could even open the door to, as much as Marvel Corporate has chafed at this idea for so long, they might have changed their tune a bit. This could even mean that the Fantastic Four join the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, here's the story. Entertainment Earth, which is not a news organization, but a great toy store, collectibles store. I've got many friends who work there. I've done business with them repeatedly. I've never, ever used them as a source of news because their main business is retail sales. They also have a blog about the entertainment industry, specifically genre stuff like Disney and Fox and what that might mean for comic movies. And last night on their website, they released something that seems pretty substantive. However, again, I stress this comes from Entertainment Earth, and so if it's proven correct, they deserve the credit. You can give me credit for sharing it with you, but I'm just passing it on. Similarly, if it's just nonsense, to the extent that there's someone to be blamed, it's them. But Entertainment Earth got a shareholder letter from Fox yesterday, and the letterhead is very interesting. I'll post a link to it in the description for tonight's podcast episode. But long story short, instead of saying 21st Century Fox or News Corp, it reads from left to right, the Walt Disney Company, followed by 21st Century Fox. So the very first thing you see going left to right, reading the top of this page, this shareholders letter, is the little faux hand-drawn Walt Disney signature, and of course that iconic mouse, implying that as a Fox shareholder, you're hearing from our parent company, Disney. This isn't unprecedented as a concept. It is odd that they would make such a big move, formalize and finalize the acquisition without telling people, leaving it so open-ended that you hear it from Entertainment Earth in the Matt Sager Podcast. But it has been discussed. There's basically been two statements about this over the last several months, one coming from Disney and one coming from Fox. On the Disney end of the spectrum, back in July of 2018, Disney CEO Bob Iger said, quote, "It could take up to 12 months for the acquisition to close," end quote. Now, at about the same time, either that same day or later that week, Fox president Peter Rice told his employees the company will be logistically ready to close on January 1st. So, there is nothing completely concrete here because the letter is a small JPEG with a big Entertainment Earth watermark over it, and I would never report something as fact without vetting it very carefully. And while I do like and trust Entertainment Earth, they're not a news organization, and they shouldn't be held to those standards. And so if this turns out to be just pie-in-the-sky nothingness, then so be it. It is interesting that people have been getting really excited these past couple of weeks because someone discovered that if you Google famous Hugh Jackman movies, one of the entries that popped up in that Google search, along with an illustration and the movie poster, was Avengers Endgame, prompting tons of speculation that, oh my God, Disney and Fox have merged, and the X-Men are joining the Avengers, and oh my God, it's wide open. Maybe Deadpool's going to show up, and it does seem as though that's a possibility. Now, that said, Google apparently read all those articles, and whether they did this because they were correcting themselves or because Disney and or Fox asked them to, they removed Avengers Endgame from the Hugh Jackman Famous Movies page. If you now Google Hugh Jackman Famous Movies, you'll get the X-Men trilogy, Logan, X-Men Origins Wolverine, The Greatest Showman, and what have you. But Google, too, is a corporation who, if asked by Disney or Fox as a favor to, hey, do me a favor, don't share secret information in your search results anymore, they would abide by that request, I suspect. So, given that I do trust Entertainment Earth, and given that they're sort of staking their reputation on this, again, they're not stating it as fact. but they are sharing this letter they've received. There is no reason for them to post something that sets them up to have their reputation hurt as being dishonest. And so I'm inclined to think, look, it could just be letterhead as they prepare for the actual acquisition to take place. But if shareholders are seeing this logo, again, there will be a link to it in the description for tonight's podcast. That is certainly interesting. Speculative, but suggestive that the mouse has indeed swallowed the fox. I love that all these giant corporations have names that you associate with lovable things. Oh, it's the Mouse Company, not a billion-dollar organization that owns Times Square and all of Anaheim. And oh, foxes, lovely animals from which dogs descended. Not a massive multimedia corporation that includes 2 cable channels that do nothing but spew right-wing propaganda all day. It's, oh, Fox. Fox is nice. Disney. He never sympathized with Hitler. Look, there's a little adorable mouse next to his name. That's just good business strategy. After all, Apple doesn't call themselves the "I'm ignoring my daughter while I invent the iPhone" company. That wouldn't look good on letterhead. I'm all in favor of nice names like Apple, Fox, Disney. And while these giant corporate mergers, I generally believe they're bad for the world, when so much power becomes consolidated under one roof, it's not really good for business. It is if you're a CEO or in the top tier of management. But if you're a worker, it can make things very difficult for you in ways which are sort of boring and intricate and that I won't get into right now. But it's good to have lots of disparate companies, not one giant corporation under which all things fall under their umbrella. But as a fan, I have to admit, the prospect of seeing Logan, any of the X-Men, old or new, pre or post First Class, or the Fantastic Four in Avengers Endgame or any Marvel Cinematic Universe movie is enticing, is something I would be really, really excited to see. And I know that they'd be in better care under the Marvel umbrella. So to that end, I hope that this letterhead is accurate and that there will be an announcement sometime in the next couple of days, which it seems as though, looking at this letter, there may very well be an official finalized merger, or acquisition rather, of Fox by Walt Disney, now the most powerful company on the face of the earth. They're basically Weyland-Yutani, Yo-Yo-Dine now. And as corporate overlords go, Disney is the nicest of them that I can imagine. After all, again, look at that cute little mouse. So welcome, Disney, to ownership of the X-Men, Deadpool, Fantastic Four, and who knows what else. You've grown even larger and will be spending lots of money, no doubt, on your streaming service when it debuts later this year. Get in touch with the Matt Sager Podcast, why don't you? You can email matt@mattsager.com or call 646-535-4788. Or if you like, you can get me on social media. On Twitter, I'm @MattSager. On Instagram, I'm Real Matt Sager. And on Facebook, I'm The Matt Sager. I've also got a voiceover page there, Matt Sager VO, and this podcast page, which you should absolutely be liking, joining, subscribing to, facebook.com/Matt Sager Podcast. And check out the links in the description for tonight's podcast episode for, again, this Disney/Fox letterhead that Entertainment Earth provided, along with links to my Patreon and my merch store from my very good friends at WeHaveMerch.com. As for everything else, my voiceover reels, contact info, articles, blog posts, back episode archives of this podcast, and much more, you can find all that at mattsagervoiceover.com.